All right, folks. Welcome everybody to another Noita run. So today, we're not going to be playing Noita. We're watching Fledgling play Noita. Last time we left off was actually like last year or several months ago, and we just haven't gotten around back to getting this all done. So how you doing there, Fledgling?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Shout out to everybody who's watched the past video. I have thrived and survived on the nice comments that everybody left for me. You guys are very kind. I appreciate that.
Heck yeah. And so yeah, basically what we're doing is we're going to be reviewing a run that you just did, and this is fresh in your mind. You just experienced all this, and this is just a normal run, and we're going to go over your decision making as we watch through the video. So yeah, let's go ahead and hit the recording. Just
That's
send it.
right. In 3, 2, 1, and play. This is very interesting. It's getting started with a new game.
Yep, here we go.
So it's been it's been roughly a year since I played Noita. Whenever we left off, well, it's a little less than a year, but it's been a long time. So I kind of forgot what was going on, and this was supposed to be my derusting run, and I ended up making it a lot farther than I thought I would. So I was just messing around here, remembering the controls and getting into it. But there's some pretty interesting stuff that happens in this run. I did nothing I was supposed to and got way farther than I expected, so.
And sometimes that's just how it works out.
Yeah, especially with me.
Yeah, so you don't have water as a starting material. Looks like you've got dynamite as your first wand. You're just going around and killing some dudes.
Yeah,
Looks like
so it's actually worm pheromone, I think, that's inside of that bottle, and it's the exploding crystal is in the bomb wand.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's actually normal pheromone, not worm pheromone.
Oh, yeah,
but
yeah.
You're right.
Oh,
it
sorry.
would be
Yeah, no. There was definitely, I got a worm pheromone later.
Yeah. Okay, so you're trying to put yourself out. You can't put yourself out without water unless you, like, fully douse yourself up to your knees. So you want to find, like, a little spot and just spam it on you. But yeah.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be a normal derusting run right here because I was like, oh, great. I'm going to die to fire in, like, the first 5 minutes. It's fine. So I didn't actually try too hard to mitigate a lot of the damage that I take in the first area because I didn't actually expect to get through it.
Right. Well, you got a bit of a wacky spawn. This doesn't happen too often, but sometimes it can lead right up to the surface, and sometimes it can, like, help you skip straight to the tablet.
Yeah,
this is a very strange formation.
I did not get the tablet this run.
Oh no! that's like the first pointer that I give.
There's a reason. There's a reason for it. Okay. Here I was trying to figure out what the hell I had in that second wand. I didn't actually check it until I was, like, shooting at it. I was like, I really don't understand what's happening here. But no, despite not having the tablet, there's a reason I don't get it, and it's mostly desperation, so.
That's fair. That is kind of the exception, is when you're super desperate and you need to run. Right. So yeah, Unstable Crystal is like a proximity explosion, and it's bad at digging, but it does trick kills, and it does a ton of explosive damage to enemies. So it's
does that crystal detonate for enemies as well?
Yes. Okay. Yes, it does.
See, I didn't really think about that. I read it, and here once again, I'm taking DOT damage, and I just don't care at all. I'm making my way over to the water, but I'm not really worried about it.
Yeah.
I did remember...
A little sloppy for the first floor.
Yeah, it wasn't a great first floor. I tightened it up later. I did remember, obviously, gold's super important. I was on track to start collecting quite a bit of gold. Just in this first section here. I was just trying to find that line between safety and grabbing the gold.
Right, and you actually got a rare shop on this first floor, which is really cool. Sometimes you can get some totally game-breaking spells out of those.
Yeah, well, you can see I go up here and I kind of look at it, And there's nothing
Yeah.
here that really hits me that I know is good for the price that I'm paying for it, so I go ahead and I pass it up.
Yeah, these spell stores tend to be sold at a premium, and these ones, nothing really worth that premium price. So you're dead on there. That's good.
Yeah,
Good to
I
see.
figured I would see at least half of those when I got to the next checkpoint. And I wasn't wrong. So.
Yeah. So one thing, the first recommendation I'd make here is you should have poured out either your pheromone or your worm pheromone and picked up some water instead,
Yeah.
because it's just a better liquid to
No,
have.
I
You kind of
agree.
you kind of need it.
Yeah, I was so concerned, looking back here, obviously I was like, that's a better idea. But in the moment I was so worried about my gameplay, and I'm always worried about my gameplay, and that's probably why I do better than I probably should, is I'm just obsessed with making sure I try to play well and get better.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I miss out on a lot of those auxiliary things that end up making everything much easier when I
Right.
focus so much on just the mechanic.
That's fair.
Yeah, I was
I
like,
think
okay.
you might have just smothered that fire in the smoke that was up there.
I did, yeah. Yeah, I noticed it. I didn't really yeah, I was already feeling a little on my back foot. So I went ahead and entered the holy mountain. This is where I think I picked up what made me get as far as I did.
Right.
And it's
I see an always cast up and coming.
yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure about my wand choices this run. In a couple more checkpoints, I do.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I did. That right there helped me a ton. And then there's a part 2
Yeah.
to this checkpoint.
So there's a mana charge problem with this wand, but if you
Yes.
played really slow, it would definitely carry you for quite a while. And obviously the teleport is like one of the best spells in the game.
Yes. Now, as we've discussed on the last video, I am not prepared to teleport the way that I've seen you do in videos. So I don't
Of
end up
course.
actually using it, but I did keep it. I was like, maybe I'll feel frisky, but I never really got confident enough to get it going. But
Mhm.
this wand was very important.
For sure. Also, I saw that you just passed by a bunch of chainsaws. Chainsaws, obviously, like the single best spell in the game, so you definitely want to go back for those at some point.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, because they reduce your cast delay to 0,
That's right.
and they can also remove your a lot of your recharge. And they're super cheap and they do a lot of damage.
Yeah, no, you're right. I remember we used that for digging last time.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we used it in quite a few combinations. So you're trying to do
I was doing my
recharge
scroll
skip?
wheel. Yeah, I was doing my
Yeah,
scroll
but
wheel,
you
and then
don't.
it clicked for me. The recharge time is still there, so I was like, okay, well, I do this a few times when I'm testing ones out just to see, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So if you got rid of the multicast, you'd be able to use the recharge skip, and then you'd be able to rapid fire that wand because it's got no cast delay. So you could have machine gunned that wand if you took the
Man.
triple cast off.
But I did take melee immunity, which saved my butt.
Melee immunity is one of the very best perks in
Yeah,
it
I saw it and I was
floor
like,
2.
he's gonna be so mad.
Another thing I would say on the first floor, obviously, skipping out on the tablet was a big mistake. You should have been moving. Spend your health moving in the direction of your objective on each floor. So, on the first floor, the first objective should always be the tablet. On the second floor, the first objective should pretty much always be going toward fungal caverns and clearing toward that area, because fungal caverns can give you really good things, which means that you're once again going the exact opposite direction that you should be going.
For sure. And part of this is just me being rusty. I was trying to stay alive, and I didn't remember a lot of the directional objectives and other intricacies we talked about last time.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking of
Noita
them.
is all knowledge checks, for sure.
For sure. I was thinking of them, but I wasn't. Once again, it was a confidence issue, so.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you got a bunch of wands showing up. That's awful.
I
That's
took
a
it though because
terrible
I
one.
wanted that. I wanted that third. That third.
Yeah, Spark Bolt.
Yes.
Spark Bolt good. And yeah, if you got an empty wand slot, you might as well grab it. So yeah, at this point in the game, still not having water. that's a
Oh, for
a
sure.
big mistake. But your overall your gameplay, like your mechanics have been very solid. So
I
like
tightened
that's
up after
definitely
floor
carrying
one.
you.
I was like, that was really embarrassing. Let's try not to do that again.
hmm So you just skipped past a formation.
Mm.
If you wanted, I don't know if you want to rewind, but basically over on the right, there's like a coal, like a weaker coal area,
Mm-hmm.
and you can just bust right through it with like even your super weak unstable bombs could make it through,
Gotcha.
and then you would be able to acquire either a chest or heart most of the time.
Yeah, I
For me.
was thinking about the hearts as I got into the ice caverns. I was like, I didn't really see any, but I wasn't actually keeping a good eye out for them as well. So here you can see my hamster wheels turning in my head as I futilely tried to decide what would be better for me.
Yeah, the burst of air is a fine spell, but it's a little bit. I would say to utilize it well, it's a little advanced because you have to
Yeah.
pair it with other like physics-based spells. So like it pairs really well with a rock, for example. You can make
Mm.
rocks fire really quickly, and then they like will just do an insane amount of damage.
And once again, covered in goo, no water.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
this is going to be a recurring theme this run.
The goo would take off with either of your liquids. It's just fire that you can't take off that way.
Oh, I got you. I got you.
hmm
So yeah, this place is
Yeah.
pretty uneventful. I was feeling a little better about being able to dodge and attack things, so I just started exploring a little more. There was I believe another snafu in here, but I don't remember exactly what it was.
hmm Well, despite you not remembering about fungal caverns, or either that or just deciding to avoid it, you did do one thing that I would say is like a absolutely just like top tier strategy for survival is making it to the bottom, clearing an exit portal, and then like you're exploring outward. That is the exact perfect thing to do when you're not super confident. Even when you are super confident, it's a really good idea. So good job on that. Ooh,
Oh,
there's a
there's a
heart up
heart I
there.
missed. Yeah, I never
Yep.
even saw that when I was playing. Wow. Man,
There's also a formation below you, which could
yeah,
have a chest or heart.
that's it. And also the one other reason I didn't do much digging early on, and when I did get the power to dig, things went south very quickly for me. But
Mhm.
one reason I didn't do a lot of digging, I really felt weak in the digging department. I didn't feel like I had a lot of good tools to dig. And I like the crystals were okay, but I also felt like me having to get close to them or like very precisely snipe them was a little bit more than I wanted to risk in order to try to dig for stuff. So
That is very fair. So at this point, you've got enough money to go back up to the previous holy mountain, and you
mhm.
can actually dig the collapsed concrete with even just a spark bolt. So you
Mm,
could actually go back up and with your teleport, or even with like the liquid levitation strategy, and you'd be able to acquire those chainsaws. So
gotcha.
sometimes it's really worth it going back to a previous shop, especially when you don't have the money that you need.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, and I
hmm
was a little wary of doing anything with the Holy Mountain because I know Steven is up there, and though we get to experience some things later, it was not the time for it.
Yeah, so Steven won't appear in a collapsed holy mountain,
Mm.
assuming he hasn't already been
Oh,
anchored. So you
so
can destroy as much of the holy mountain as you want if the holy mountain has collapsed.
gotcha. So you just have to go up from below. Gotcha.
hmm
Nice.
And yeah, Yeah, that's good. Gotta stay moisturized.
Yeah,
Very
immediately
important
jump into some poison.
Yeah, it do be like that. Yeah, so you're outside of the HP range where I would recommend going to fungal caverns at this point because the explosives do 44 damage.
And you can tell that I was thinking the same thing. So,
Yeah. The biggest damage reach on the floor from like a normal enemy is 27 from the buckshot
gotcha.
shotgunners. But if you don't know that, then obviously you should just play a little bit safer.
This
That
wand
wand
ruined my
has the
life.
that is a fucking terrifying always cast. Really, really, really dangerous.
Yes, this wand ruined my life.
Okay.
This is the reason for all of my terrible things that have happened to me this run.
Yeah. This is an awful wand with lots of space. Hey, Spitter Timer, that's a good spell, but the
Yeah.
wand is bad.
I end
Also
up-
doubles.
I end up buying all but like 2 of these wands here.
Yeah. Chain Bolt could literally just carry you the rest of the game.
I did
If
not
you
get to
use it
use it as
wisely.
much as I wanted to. I did end up using it a
It's
little
too bad.
bit. Yeah, you're about to be shocked, amazed, and probably quite disappointed in my actions over the next.
You're gonna pick up this wand and then you're gonna shoot it and then you're gonna activate Steven, aren't you?
Over the
don't
next,
spoil it, but let's
next 5
let's
minutes,
see.
there's going to be some shenanigans going down in this room.
Okay. So you got your extra spark bolt on your damage up wand. That's gonna improve your damage and your crit chance, which is pretty good.
This
wand's
is going,
definitely bad.
This is going to be a little boring for a minute because I had 2 brain cells and I was trying to make them work together.
That's okay.
It wasn't really doing a good job, so I decided to go over here and check out the perks because I'm like, I'm not smart enough to make a decision right now. Let's see if this.
Edit wands everywhere is spectacular. When you see that, that's pretty much a snap take every time.
Yeah. Once again, I wasn't thinking I was gonna. Yeah.
What the frick?
But I was thinking survival then. That once again, a desperate man who was not comfortable at all. So.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Thinking about the messing with the wands on the fly, though, I mean that should be a no-brainer to take every single time.
Yeah. For sure.
I heard your voice chuckling at me in the back of my head right here. Oh yes, here we go. So I was like, this is the one. This is the one I'm going to take. It has a bunch of interesting things on it. I didn't look at the mana drain on these, or I would have known better. And then immediately, I've angered the gods. And I go, oh yeah, that happens when you destroy the holy mountain.
Test.
And then I continue
Can
to
you hear
do
me?
so. Yeah, I can hear you.
Sorry. Oh, sorry. Yeah, my setup broke there for a moment. So yeah, you've destroyed everything. You're fucking probably ultra doomed in most cases.
Hey, don't worry about it.
okay,
I'm a
you're
gamer. I'm a gamer.
Yeah,
I do
yeah.
a little gaming.
Yeah, so this is a good thing to do, actually, is keeping this exact range with Steven. If you're gonna man up and fight him for real, this is exactly, you're doing it. You're doing the exact correct thing. You're just being the mechanical gamer that you are, and you got it. Nice job.
One glanced hit. I was pretty proud
Yeah.
of this. I got about like 10 seconds into it, and I was like, is this going to happen? Am I gonna make
Yeah.
this happen?
Oh my god. Oh my god. So the earthquake chunks do like 1 billion damage to you if they hit you. I'm sure you'll
Oh.
probably find that out at some point.
No, I didn't find out. That's nice to know,
Oh.
though.
Yeah, they do so much damage.
So here I
Um,
immediately start dismantling this wand. I'm like, this thing is too powerful to be kept around.
Yeah. Yeah. So remember shift clicking is a thing here.
Yeah.
Also, it's really important that you play around with spells that you don't know in Noita. If you don't know what a spell does, it's your duty as like a knowledge seeker to learn what it does, because the more spells that you know how to utilize, the wider your net is for success, because you don't need to focus on like 4 or 5 different spells that you need every time. So
Right.
definitely a great idea to, when you see a spell that you don't understand, try to understand it, try to visualize a location where, or like a scenario where that spell would be the best. And I would say that the overwhelming majority of spells in Noita have like a unique characteristic that makes them really, really good compared to other spells. So a good example would be like Energy Orb with Timer is a it's an expensive spell at 50 cost, and it also has some weird characteristics for timers. It's a really long-lived timer, so oftentimes it'll make contact with the thing like a trigger instead of a timer. And also energy orbs, or the energy sphere, whichever one this one is, this blue one, it's got a set knockback, so you can use it to reduce recoil if you've got like a really recoil heavy wand.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah. So I figure while we're in here, we'll just nerd out about the spells and talk about like what options you have. And I do think that your damage up wand is actually still your best avenue moving forward.
For sure. That was my primary wand the entire way through this run. Here I'm like, okay, obviously I've screwed up, but in the process of screwing up, I've also attained some more money. So why not try to just mess around, since I don't really know anything. Every floor could be the end, so I just tried to maximize the amount of cash that I had to play around with stuff, try to remember things, and get myself as prepared as I could feel for the rest of the run. So
Right.
I do end up spending a lot of time here. A lot of these wands are trash. I realized this pretty quickly. If not here, then in the next area. But
Right.
But I did have a good time messing around with stuff and just playing with the different combinations, remembering how everything worked, the different modifiers, and like, you know, wrapping your spells around for another time, just thinking about those concepts. It's been months.
Yeah.
It's been months, and it's nice how fast it all comes back, though.
That's good. And so yeah, this wand has 4 multicast, and you've got 3 spells on there. Even if you had 4 spells on there, you wouldn't be able to do the mouse wheel trick no matter what. So that's why you're dealing with that big recharge. So the trick, if you want to bypass recharge time like you keep trying to do, is to have 1 extra spell on the end of your wand. It doesn't matter what it is. It just needs to be a spell that isn't being drawn, and then you're going to be able to do the skip.
Gotcha.
Because yeah, that is a very valuable strategy, and I see you're trying to do it a lot because it is quite optimal in a lot of scenarios. But
it really saved
unfortunately,
it saved my bacon in the past few runs that I did. And so everybody knows, I had recorded a few runs like way back after we did that first video. You know, I was looking at the comments, and I was like, oh well, crap, better get on this, better do some stuff.
Yeah.
And just the amount of time that has passed, I had to redo some stuff on my computer storage.
Life got in the way.
Life be lifing. But I didn't end up being able to keep those videos, so unfortunately I don't have them. But I was able to pull this trick off a lot in those videos, and it actually got me quite far. Here I'm just messing around to see what that trigger is going to do for my projectiles, to try to see. I was already resigned to the thought that, okay, I'm probably not going to get the result that I want. Either I'm too dumb or I don't have the tools to make it work. So I went ahead and bought this other wand, and I was focused now on trying to make this first wand as good as I felt like I could. Now,
I think that's the right move here.
Yes.
In most cases.
And so I got the zigzaggy bolt down here, and I never really made the best use out of it. Looking back at it, it was really good, and I did try to use it at the very end of my run because I was like, I feel like this could do some really good damage, but sadly didn't work out for me.
Right. So one suggestion I would make here, considering your wands are like quite bad and your only like very high functioning wand that actually has good usage is your top wand, and it only has 10 mana regen. So what I would do is I would actually run 2 DPS wands in this scenario, and it looks like that might be what you're setting up here. I definitely think a shuffle yes would make a lot more sense than using a shuffle no here. When you've got really bad options, shuffle yes wands tend to be just better stat sticks overall.
Sure.
So I think that would be really good. Another thing that I would note is that your always cast for your wand 1, the one that you're currently firing, is the spitter timer will consume the damage up, and then everything in the payload will not acquire the always cast. So that's another important thing to note. So you can't really get anything extra out of that. Are you trying to dig?
Oh yeah, I told you this wand ruined my run. Don't worry about that. don't look at it. It's fine.
Just throw it.
I was like, what's that shiny thing? Maybe I can get down to the next floor without collapsing the holy mountain. That's a thing you can do, right? And obviously I'm being dumb because it's like bouncing around, and I realize that it's not going to be able to get what I want. So
it's actually a really good idea, but this isn't the right spot to do it from.
No, it's not.
You should just go over to the right where Steven normally spawns and just break it at the super thin part of the wall. Note that the leftmost watery spot too, that's a pretty thin spot, so you could use that spot too.
Now the worm crystal here, I do end up breaking this. I didn't remember what you said about the worm crystal. In my head, I remembered you saying that this is a good thing to destroy the crystal. And I don't know if it is or not.
No.
Okay. Yeah, you feel less safe. I read that and I was like, maybe I remembered incorrectly here.
Yeah, so the worm crystal makes it so worms are tethered. It's a lot harder for them to come and break the holy mountain, which is supposed to delay Steven's rampage. And yeah, it's pretty handy, but I guess if you wanted worms to attack you, you could do that.
I was in a wormy mood. I'm not gonna lie.
I guess. Yeah, so your mana usage, like these wands are a little bit off.
It's not great.
Wow, that's 10 mana charge on that thing too. Oh my god, these wands are so bad.
And I don't think that I got a wand that would have allowed me to do decent damage that had a good mana charge rate, because I had this one, I think it's this one with 36. I ended up doing these because I was like, okay, well, they can bounce, and I wish I would have put the zigzags on it instead now. But I was like, okay, these things, they do have a little oomph. They feel a little oomphy. Maybe I'll put it here. I can get one good pop off, and maybe it'll do a little bit of damage. But obviously, just sticking with my first wand. And so here we're getting to, a little bit late in the video.
The icy land, yeah.
Icy land.
This is generally the level where most new players die, and if you don't die on this one, then you die in Hisi base. So this level has the problem of like enemies being off screen, and that makes it really, really challenging to overcome. And sorry. No, you go.
I was gonna say that with the enemies, I remembered this place being terrible. But then, as I started taking the propane tank, it cracked me up when it flew on screen.
Classic propane tank antics.
Yeah, but as I started fighting these enemies, I realized that the wand that I had made, this primary wand at least, was a lot better than I gave it credit for initially, and it really helped me out through this area.
Yeah, so it chunks really hard. It's gonna do good damage. The only problem with it is that it's got limited mana. So as long as you don't get overwhelmed by like a ton of enemies at once, it will very easily carry you. For I would say up until jungle.
I did end up running out of mana a couple of times with it, and had to kind of chill out for a moment. But
that's a totally valid strategy for sure.
Yeah, I had to chill out for just a minute. That was the first time I looked at the worm pheromone. I was like, wait, when did this black bottle go in my inventory?
Picked it up ages ago and forgot about it. That is.
And then I'm like, why am I moving so fast? Why is he moving so fast?
Acceleration's on the ground. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, this is when I started to feel a little unhinged in the run. It kind of put me on the back foot. I was like, I wasn't getting the results that I wanted. I started falling into the speedy go fast and realizing that I had lost a little bit of grasp on what I was doing in the mid to late game. And I realized that this wand I had also wouldn't carry me much into the late game. And so I was being a little hard on myself, I guess. I think I started to psych myself out here.
I think that even despite that, you're still doing pretty well. I mean, you're definitely taking like a unfortunate amount of damage, but it's one of those things where like learning how to deal with these enemy patterns, you gotta have all the tricks in mind. Like I don't know if you remember those guys, the Hisi lobbers and gunners. If you're directly above them, they won't shoot you. If you're directly above or below them, they can't shoot you at all.
Right.
They can't shoot up or down.
I remember there was a trick to them. I generally just tried to pick them off and use cover as I could. I don't know why I tossed that on myself. I think...
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
I've made some very strange decisions this run. That's okay. Sniper, dodge behind the spike.
Oh my god, that was so close to just killing you.
I know, man. I tried to get up as high as I could, and I knew that if he hit me, it was over either way, so I just kind of went for it. And I thought, well, hell, why not? I'll try it again.
Yeah, well, it worked out. Yeah, so at this point, you definitely got to be making your way to the, the end of the level.
And so you see, I start going, oh, there's a hole here. Maybe I can get down to the bottom real fast.
I don't see that working out, but
it
maybe.
No, it didn't. I spent a lot of time here digging into a very small hole. Some people would count that as a gigantic dub for a guy, but it was not in this case.
This is the danger hole. I don't know.
There's a disappointment. There's just nothing.
Wow, you made it.
I saw down below that there might be something, and I thought, no, I'm not ready to get disappointed again. And then I shot that one, and I was like, that's really good. I'll never use it again.
I mean, your main wand is doing enough damage. As long as you've got the mana for it, it's not that big of a deal.
It was a lot more consistent. It had been with me through some tough times. I believed in it, you know, and that shows through. You really got to believe in your equipment.
It is very helpful when you're comfortable with your main wand. That said, I also think you should try to work on getting more comfortable with like teleporting and stuff, because that'll really up your game for defensive play. Because then you can choose how aggressive you want to be. If you want to like jump on top of an enemy and shoot them in the face right away, or if you want to back up because there's too many enemies, it's a really good way of just allowing you to control the battle and set your own pace.
For sure.
So I would definitely recommend using that more in the future.
I saw the wormhole. I thought, not today. I'm leaving. I'll risk whatever is over here, which is probably more dangerous than the wormhole, but at 17 health.
Yeah.
But it was okay. This little rock protected.
Yeah, that frozen gas can do some pretty nasty damage.
I know
every
about that
pixel,
frozen gas.
Yeah, every pixel touching you will be pretty nasty.
I'd never been more happy than to go through this portal, and then,
even fight 2.
I forgot that he respawns every single time. I was like, ooh, nice shop. Nice shop. Look at all this cool stuff. And then I saw the purple. And I'm immediately done. I'm immediately off guard. I'm like, oh my God, not again.
Do it. Oh yeah. So that statue, there's actually quite a few different guides online on how to use that statue to one-hit kill Steven with a well-placed kick. Normally I use the tablet, so I've never bothered teaching you that. But yeah, definitely if you're in a situation like this, definitely go take a peek at like the positioning guide on how to kill Steven with the statue. I think Dunk has a really good video on it, and yeah, you're dead.
It was
That's
so
it.
sad. I just got so thrown off my game. Man. And then
It's interesting to see your first fight versus your second fight because your first fight you did the exact right thing of staying like in a single spot and not
Mhm.
moving left or right at all and then just dodging up and down. That's what you got to do with Steven. Get him into that spot where he can just be looped
Yes.
because otherwise you're just going to end up in that situation.
Well, and that's you can tell that how much being in an unfamiliar situation really threw me off in that second fight. And that's sort of, I play so much Dark Souls 2 to where anything that happens in DS2, I'm streaming through a randomizer right now for enemies and bosses, and it's just like
Oh hell yeah.
it's a piece of cake. I mean, I went into the Rat Vanguard arena and it was all mirror knights. And
Mhm.
and
Hilarious.
yeah, and so in a situation that I'm in my element, it's just like no biggie, and then I get into a spot where I'm on my back foot. Any other type of Souls-like game that I don't have enough experience in, or Steven number 2 spooking me out of the
Yep.
corner there, and it's just over. I just lose my shit, and it's just so funny to watch back because it's very clear what I do. But I thought it was a really good run, good enough that it was my first run after you and I had talked about what we were gonna do,
Yeah.
and I decided to bring it on back, so
Well, yeah, it was really great doing this little video with you, and please note that we'll be linking Svet's channel in the link down below. So if you're interested in seeing more gameplay from him, he's always doing. Well, right now he's lightly streaming once a week right now, right?
yes, yeah, so I have a few
Yep.
IRL things going on right now, trying to go back to school, potentially doing some stuff at work, and so I'm streaming
Yeah.
about once a week, typically on Tuesdays, and maybe a little extra from now.
Yeah. And other than that, if you're interested in seeing more gameplay like this and us continuing to tinker with the format, please let us know. And yeah, maybe we can get Svetlane not only just beating the game consistently, but maybe we can even get him secret hunting and doing all sorts of crazy stuff like that because this game is
Ooh.
obviously ridiculously vast and it's one of those games where it starts off as a roguelike and then it turns into like an open world sandbox god simulator. So, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys for
Uh,
watching. Hope you have a
yep,
wonderful
have a good one.
afternoon all.